That Great Business Show, Ireland's best business podcast.
ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De facto shaving oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to episode 116 of That Great Business Show, Ireland's best business podcast. This is posting on the 2nd of December 2022. Fáilte I am Conal O'Moran. Now, we have great chats with Team GBS. That's you, our listeners, both on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And what you were saying recently was that many of you are really too busy running your businesses and that you'd appreciate your favourite business podcast to be just a little bit shorter. And as usual, what Team GBS asks for, Team GBS gets. So we're going to experiment with a shorter format running to around 45 minutes, ideal for a walk, a jog, or a commute. And as always, thanks for the feedback. We appreciate it. On this episode, we have a rugby superstar and entrepreneur Ross Byrne to tell us how he aims to make money by paying you a surprise visit. Sinead Doherty, the brains behind Fenero tax software, tells us the benefits of those Leo and Enterprise Ireland type accelerator programs. And money. We know you can never get enough of it. So we have found a UK company that wants to fund your business in Ireland, so long as you don't gamble. And who brings you these great business insights? Well, De facto shaving oil does. It's gifting time, and De facto, the world's best shaving oil, is also the world's most affordable and desirable gift. One bottle can last a year. It's the ideal gift from child to an adult. You can buy it now on defactoshave.com.
De facto shaving oil, the ideal gift. One bottle lasts a year and they'll think of you every day.
And I know I'm always asking you to share this podcast on LinkedIn, but no more. I'm now asking you to repost it because LinkedIn, who didn't tell me about this, seemed to have changed their little button. So all I have to say is repost, repost, and repost, please. On episode 99 of That Great Business Show, we learned all about Ireland-based venture investors, Elkstone, and what types of companies they like to invest in. We also learned that they work closely with a UK venture capital firm called Playfair Capital. So we thought it was a very good idea to have Playfair on the podcast to see what types of businesses they like and how you can get money from them for your great idea. And whoever quipped that VCs have no principles were wrong, because Henrik Sanchez is principal at Playfair Capital, and we're delighted to welcome him to studio, hot foot from his London HQ. Henrik, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you for having me, Colin. Thanks for that little gag to get us started.
What is a principal in a VC firm? You know what they say in stockbroking? Ethics is a place just outside of London.
You basically just have three tiers, to be honest. You know, you have the partners that start at the very top and they make the decisions. You have the associates at the bottom who help with the analysis and the sourcing. And then principal is essentially between those two places. So you're trying to do a little bit of both.
So you're important.
A little bit important, but not really.
He's important because he knows, one, where the money is, and two, how people can prize the money out of Playfair Capital. Why is Playfair Capital playing in Ireland?
Well, I mean, taking the name, as you just did there, I think Playfair is exactly what we try and do. We try and play fair by founders, is actually sort of the entire meaning of the fund and our values. I think while we're in Ireland, we've actually happened to invest in two very strong businesses here, Protex AI, who were actually on the podcast, I think a few episodes ago.
They are unbelievable. If people have not heard Protex AI, go back, find it. It's about, about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, pretty recent.
They're brilliant guys, yep.
They capture the imagination incredibly well. And then also Nori AI, founded by Connor, who is also the founder of Mad Egg Restaurants. So anyone in Dublin will probably have eaten his fried chicken. So anyway, we invest in those two businesses and just been amazed by, I think, the ambition of those founders and the talent that there clearly is here in Ireland. And we feel like the turning point in the ecosystem might be around now, where actually there's a lot more venture investing going into a growing pool of talent that want to build world-size companies. So we'd love to spend more time here getting to know the ecosystem.
And somebody very clever, because you've avoided mentioning it, invested in another Irish company, Stripe.
So the reason we don't talk about it quite as much is it's not the bread and butter of what we do. But so we did invest in them at their Series C, which relative to where they are now is still doing very well. And obviously they're the darling of the Irish ecosystem. So it's been an amazing investment to be part of. And in your early days as a fund, it's very important to get your name out there and to kind of show that you can find the best companies, even if you can't find them at the very beginning. I think as you get older and wiser, you try and prove that you can find them at the very ground floor stage.
They're no darlings of mine because they robbed my co-presenter, rugby legend Jamie Heaslip.
Oh, really? I'll be speaking with him at First Fridays tomorrow, so I'll sit on the other side of the
You better give that a shout out because by the time this goes out on Friday, will you? What time in the morning are you doing it? Or
that's 12:15.
Oh well, you might just about tomorrow. Get it, yeah. So First Fridays are alive and well.
They are.
At Dogpatch, yeah.
Absolutely, and I think they're trying to run this every month, as far as I know. So we've got some great speakers. I think what we're talking about tomorrow is looking back on 2022, which has been a pretty rough year, I think, for venture capital and tech. Just giving some perspectives and zooming out a little bit.
So let's get down to the meat. Who are you looking for? What are you looking for? I know for sure because there's a little list on your website of what you don't want, and I'll give it a quick read out because you don't want ad tech, you don't want martech, beauty, crypto, blockchain. Who wants those anyway? Is e-commerce, fashion, gambling, no to gambling, cool, gaming, hardware, lending, medical devices, and space tech. We had an incredible woman on very recently, and she is working in that space area. There are some huge bets being taken there. You might be missing out.
Potentially. I think what we've realised, and that list is a combination of, for the gambling side, moral, ethical. I think it's very important to have
Is it genuine? Is that the actual reason?
Absolutely. We just don't believe that you should be investing. And the same with lending. We just feel that most lending businesses fundamentally will make money off the poorest at the end of the day. I think there's others where you have to be quite open and genuine, and you don't know as much as you probably could in certain areas like space tech, life sciences, biotech, where unless you're a specialist, you can't claim to be an expert. And I think when Playfair invests, we claim to be an expert. We do enough diligence on markets, product, and people that we can genuinely be close enough to a company to give them proper advice and not dangerously bad advice. That's the kind of difference.
So who or what would you like?
Everything else. So, I mean, it's difficult being a generalist because no one really knows what to go to you for. I think we're solving that by individuals in the team preferring different things. So there are people on my team that love logistics, they love healthcare, they love drones as one particular example. I deliberately like a variety of companies. I like things at the very earliest stage, but some of the examples are across AI and robotics, across enterprise SaaS, across marketplaces. But overall, probably the thread is complex, hard to understand companies. So not something that is scientifically hard to penetrate with a PhD, but something that needs a lot of brain power and time to find the edges of the problem. And then once you've finally understood that, you can start to uncover a bit more of a diamond in the rough rather than just investing in someone who left a unicorn company and everyone throws money at them because it's an easy bet. I think that's the difference in what we're trying to do.
And have you had on your own watch anything particularly interesting that you have invested in and you just think this is a fantastic area, or better still, this is a fantastic company that we have invested in?
Loaded question because I have to be, I'm going to be incredibly positive about all my companies, but leaving aside the Irish companies for a moment because we've talked about them previously, I think Recycle are a company, it's the first company I invested in at Playfair. And
what do they do?
They basically provide AI and robotics software and machines to sort recycling waste in facilities. And what they started with was a treadmill and a GoPro, and that's when we invested. And they said, we can prove that you can scan waste by chucking our bin on a treadmill in our room and scanning it with a GoPro camera. And we think that we can then scale that to actually build a fully automated robot in a waste facility and then scale this to solve the world's recycling problem.
I could go down that rabbit hole because it is an area that I find fascinating as to how they do sort rubbish. I'm a very keen recycler. But every time I chuck the green bin, I say, no chance. I bet you that's just going into a big bundle and burnt down at the incinerator.
Well, I don't want to depress you too much, but I think global recycling rates are something like 8%. In Europe, it's between 30-40%. 40% kind of on average. So there's a huge gap. There's a massive gap, either because people aren't recycling in the first place, but even if people like yourselves are actually recycling, it doesn't get sorted properly because the machines aren't good enough currently. And then the people that then sort it at the end of the line are literally human beings just standing there being told to grab plastic or cardboard. So replacing that with technology that has 99% accuracy makes a massive difference.
And what is that company again?
Recycle
I, as in EYE.
EYE.
Yeah. And what kind of a pick-up rate are they getting? What level of recycling are they getting?
So they have 99% accuracy in terms of what they're seeing. It's absolutely amazing. It's taken them a long time. It's taken them a good 2 years to get to that level. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it is pretty fast. And then they pick about 60 items a minute, which is about the same rate as a human working at top speed, but humans can't work at top speed forever because we're humans, not robots. So this robot can go for 24/7, 7 days a week. So you can essentially get 3 times the efficiency of a human at a much better accuracy. Humans are usually about 80%, 85% accurate. So I think it's the scale of this solution. I think, for people listening to this podcast, what's inspiring about that story is that these are 2 23-year-olds who came out of university obsessed with the problem of recycling, sustainability, only had very limited resources at their disposal and still could dream big and then could find an investor that then could make it happen over various stages. And now they have 15 robots in operation. They're, raising a much bigger Series A round at the moment. And they want to go and take over the world, and they're on the early stages of that.
And are they UK only at the moment?
They actually have a couple of sites in Ireland and in Northern Ireland.
Do they? Hey, listen, Recycle I, come on to the podcast, please. I really want to hear more about you. That's a really good story. I love that. So back to you and what you want, because this is your big advertisement, because I want you to fund some great new Irish businesses.
So this morning I've actually been in Dogpatch, kindly invited there to do a lot of office hours, which we basically see as an opportunity to meet founders really early before they're the finished article to try and figure out what do they need to do to present this early kind of package that you can actually invest in. And a lot of people say you're too early or you haven't quite figured it out, but they don't really explain what that means. I think to explain what we're looking for, it's do you have a narrow field of vision to what your product market fit will look like? And I know you don't like jargon. So product market fit is essentially, have you discovered the depth of a problem and what the problem really is? And have you built something that really solves that specific problem? And a lot of people will just chuck things at the wall and see what sticks. That's a super wide field of vision. Someone will come on and talk to me and say, I've spoken to 50 customers and they've told me that these are 3 burning pain points. This one is particularly strong. If I solve that, they'll pay me anything to do it. I'm going to go build that. And this is what I've done with my beta. And I've been alive for a month, but I already have amazing metrics of engagement. That shows me much more than someone who has kind of XYZ traction over a year without really understanding why. So I think people should think about the inputs, like what can they control rather than the outputs, which is what they can't, such as funding or revenue.
And the ticket size or the check, do people even write checks anymore? They don't really. The transfer of cash size, how about that one in digital age that you do? You can go as low as, did I read 100,000?
Yes, pretty much. So I think our thesis is that it's never too soon for us to invest. In theory, it just depends to what I just said, how close you are to that route to product market fit. We basically want to try and own 10% of the company. We only invest in 6 companies a year. It's a very selective process.
That makes more sense to me because I know the amount of work that goes into choosing. So you only do 6 a year?
Only 6. And I'd say most pre-seed funds would do 20 to 30 as a reference point. I think most pre-seed funds would probably do a 3 to 5 page memo. It's very high level, and that's fine because they're investing across a portfolio and they expect that most of those companies won't succeed and a couple will, and that will work for them. Our thesis is that we want the vast majority of the people we invest in to succeed, and we'll figure that out up front. And then by doing a lot more work, we can then give them a better chance of actually succeeding when they're uncertain and finding that meandering path that everyone knows it takes to go from 0 to 1. So we don't mind if we invest 100K or we invest 1.5 million. Sometimes people can go and raise a huge amount of money straight away. It all depends on the founder, where they're at in the timing of the market, their background, and just competitive tension. Sometimes everyone vultures in, the bunch of VCs that will find out about the same thing at the same time. and you can raise more money.
And is that a concern of yours? Because do you go around trying to almost sneakily trying to say, now there's a company down the back alley here and I think they're onto something good, and you try to keep it really, really quiet until you have secured your investment?
I think it's the opposite. I think Protex is a really good example, actually, that initially came through our website. So
when you say they came through the website, did they actually just apply through the website?
They applied through the website.
So it does work.
It does work. And I think, when we say we play fair by founders, that is a really important underpinning of that thesis. We think that anyone should be able to apply to us. We review every single pitch we receive, which is
you really now?
Yeah, 2,000 a year, within 5 days, every single one.
But that means that's down the chain a bit. You're not reviewing 2,000 a year.
When I started, I was. That was my full-time job for the first year or two, and we all
Did that not
chip
break
into
you?
it.
Did it not break your heart?
You know what? It breaks you, but it makes you at the same time. Because if you've reviewed 2,000 pitch decks, you know exactly where the bottom is and where the top is.
And where the bull is. And
you have the humility of saying, like, look, I've actually got stuck in. I'm not sitting in an ivory tower pontificating about what I think startup founders should do. I've actually got my hands dirty, and I think that's really important.
So anybody who's listening should apply onto the website and bang in. Now, what else should they make sure to include?
I think what should they not include is actually a better question.
Okay,
I think
please answer.
They should have maximum 10 slides for the first deck you send to anyone. No one has the attention span longer than 10 slides. If you can't explain your story in 10 slides, then you can't do a good sort of storytelling or summarizing. And
on slides, people put a zillion words. I presume you say no to words.
As few words as possible.
Yeah.
The less is more always in a pitch deck. There's a longer version you can send. Once you've got that hook in, you've just bought them, they've taken the bait, then you can send them more information. You can send them a 25-slide deck with every bit of research appendix you could possibly think of, data rooms, etc. But a fundraise is literally step by step. It's like a football analogy, one game at a time. You want to get someone to reply to your email. You want to get them to book a call after your first deck. You want to take the second call after the first call. And you keep doing it step by step until eventually the next step is them offering you money. And then it's on your court, and then you can negotiate. I think if you try and skip too many stages ahead and kind of throw everything at someone, they get overwhelmed and it backfires.
Have you, and be honest please, have you actually passed on an investment that actually turned out to be an absolute cracker?
Yes. So actually another company that came through our website was a company called Hopin that I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. They're a London-based company that went on to raise hundreds of millions, be valued at about 7 billion. They did virtual conferencing. They do virtual conferencing software.
Okay.
And that was a company that came through, and this is before the pandemic, and we thought, virtual conferences? That doesn't make a lot of sense. People want to go for conferences because they have a corporate card and they have expenses and they want to meet people. They don't want to sit in their room and listen to these talks. So we decided it was a quote-unquote stupid idea. We were proven wrong, I suppose, in the short to medium term, and who knows about the long term. They've had a lot of issues recently. But I think that was one where I've learned the lesson of timing. 6 months later, the pandemic happened, and then the company took off. But at the same time, I've also learned the lesson of sustainability and sustainable growth, because I think that company almost rode too much the tidal wave of COVID, thinking that would change the world entirely forever, rather than finding a more middle ground. So they've come kind of crashing back a little bit. I'm sure they'll still continue to do well. I'm not going to trash them. But yeah, I think that's a good lesson for me.
Two lessons that you learn in stockbroking. One is never to job backwards, because that is the term used to think if only if I shoulda, woulda, coulda. You never do that. And the second one is Lord Keynes, he of England. He always said that in the long term, we are all dead. So don't worry about the long term. Final question to Henrik. Henrik, first of all, I always ask two questions. Anybody who wants to find you should email you, or who should they email?
Find me on LinkedIn. I reply to everyone there. It might take me a couple of weeks, but I go through all my messages.
Is that how I found you? Did I email you? Or
I think you connected with Chris, the managing partner at Playfair, and he kindly connected us for my trip over here.
Very good. Well, now, final question. You know what we ask is, who would Henrik hire in a heartbeat?
I debated a lot of all the people that maybe would have wanted me to claim it was them, from families, portfolio founders, etc. I actually think, when I really think about the best person for Playfair is Jurgen Klopp, the manager of Liverpool.
You must be about the fourth, fifth, sixth person who wants him.
Really?
And he seems to be quite an exceptional person because it's away from the football, isn't it? It's about the management, isn't it?
And the thing is, it's sort of irrelevant that he's a football manager, in my opinion. I think he brings together a group of individuals, points them towards a singular vision, and then he makes the most out of people as a team. And I think that's an incredibly powerful skill, and finding this balance between micro management and detail and then the macro of running an entire club and a brand. That's incredibly powerful, and I don't think there are very many people that can actually do that. So,
well, those who have previously recommended him and who seem to know him, I don't know whether they know him, or
I definitely don't
know of him, but he seems to be an exceptional guy, and that lovely touch that he actually knows everybody and says hello to everybody and is nice to everybody and all around good guy. Henrik, please come back to us, particularly when you find another stripe. And we'll have you back on Team GPS. Thanks so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you for having me.
De facto shaving oil, the world's best shaving oil. Made in Mayo, sold worldwide.
Want to increase sales, reduce overheads and provide customers with a better service? Then use Big Red Web, the easiest way to develop and maintain your website. It gives you powerful business reporting, digital marketing and automatically integrates with the award-winning Big Red cloud accounting software. It's a game changer for SME businesses. It's so good, the government gives you a €2,500 grant towards it. Big Red Web, e-commerce made simple. BigRedCloud.com/web.
De facto shaving oil, made only from natural oils. Nothing nasty on your skin.
I could talk to my next guest about how she has built her company to a team of 80 people, how she junked a big part of her business to concentrate on the part that she believed correctly would work best. I could ask her about all of the awards her company has won. They have an entire web page dedicated to those accolades. I could ask her how she can save businesses money, tax and administrative hassle, because that is what Fenero does. Fenero founder Sinead Doherty could have been a successful podcaster because while she was earning her first-class honours degree in history, she was involved in the university newspaper and radio station. But she gave up the rock and roll lifestyle to set up her own software business. But what I want to know more is why has she taken so many business accelerator courses over the years? She's been on the AIB Growth Academy, 3 cycles of the Going for Growth program, as well as the 2022 EY Entrepreneurial Winning Women EMEA program, whatever that one stands for. Sinead Doherty, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you very much.
How come you started once upon a time, when I think met you first, there was one. There are now 80 and hiring, but you still do all of these courses. How do you find the time and why do you find the time?
I think, I suppose, why do you find the time is probably actually a little bit easier than the how. But yeah, I suppose let's start with that one, then the why. I think partly I just genuinely love learning, and there's so much to learn, so much to be exposed to. But the world is changing so quickly as well all the time. You have to keep up, I think, if you want to keep growing and evolving. So, but I just genuinely enjoy being exposed to new things, meeting new people, new ideas, spawn, other ideas. The how you make time, there's so many competing challenges, and I think it is prioritizing and trying to keep control of your own diary and your own priorities as best as you can as well. But when you love doing something, it's easier.
And we love very much the Going for Growth program because they're so good to us on the podcast and Paula Fitzsimons. And it is a brilliant idea, but you've done 3 of them.
I have. Yeah, I'm the ultimate Klingon, I suppose.
Why do you keep learning?
Through Going for Growth?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you're just, like I say, things change every year. There's new challenges every year, none more so in the last few years with the pandemic. And but you meet new people every single time, and there's just always something to learn. And you're at a different phase of business each time. So I've done that 3 times now, but I can distinctly look back at different turning points that I was at and the business was at kind of at each of those, and how that participation in each of those cycles has helped further fuel the business. So absolutely, I'll go back again if they'll have me.
And on the Going for Growth, you get a mentor. Have you had 3 different mentors?
3 different ones, that's right.
And each one of them bigger, better, brighter than the other one, or?
Oh, there'd be fights if I said anything like that. They're all excellent. Just the caliber of mentors and lead entrepreneurs on the program is absolutely outstanding, and they all bring something different as well. So I think they'll try to match when they select who's going to join their group. They will match in terms of, I suppose, how they think they can support your business. So, and I think I've been very lucky that I've had entrepreneurs that have had the right background for what I've needed at that particular stage as well.
As you say, they match you.
Yes.
And do you remain in contact with the 3 mentors I presume you had over that period?
I have, yes, and I mean they're all busy ladies as well, but I think just so generous with their time and so approachable. And I think the thing with Going for Growth as well is that it's a genuine community. It's not you go through the program, learn something, and then you're gone again. It's the whole ongoing ecosystem, I think, is why it's just incredibly successful. So absolutely, I've stayed in touch with them, and they're always very generous. They're like a phone a friend, really, still at this stage.
And others say exactly the same thing, and that's really why I wanted you to kind of almost encourage other women to say, yeah, I'll make time, because it is, if you were to say, has it added 100% or 1,000% to your business?
It's just, I mean, at least 1,000. It really is, it's huge. I genuinely do credit so much of the growth of the business through that network and that community, the knowledge that you've learned, but the friendships that you make, and the people you can ring in the middle of the night in the panics, or just have the glass of wine with. I totally encourage anybody to apply. It gets more, there's increased demand every year for it, but it's really, really worth it. Keep going. If you don't apply, I think if you don't get accepted one year, as they always say, apply again, stick at it.
And you can learn, I think, of how to correctly apply. I think there is a system or a methodology, isn't there? I believe there is. Just you don't have to say.
Okay, you have the secret formula.
Well, I don't know. I think that if you chat to Paula Fitzsimon, she'll tell you, look, you need to do more of X or more of Y. Yeah, and then you get onto the program. Really
key, I think, to Going for Growth is showing your ambition, and not to make it up for the sake of it, to put it on a bit of paper, but don't hold back. Show you what is your ambition, and put it out there, because that's what they're looking for.
And thank you so much for the perfect segue. What is your ambition? I cannot remember the last time we actually met, but you are certainly a considerably smaller company. And since then, you have now gone international, because recently you bought an Indian company, or a company in India, and you had ambitions to go to 85. You're at 80 now, but you're still hiring if you can find them.
That's right. We have 2 new people joining the team next week, one in our sales team, one in our customer experience team.
Does that make 82?
Around that, yes. It's kind of fluctuating a bit, but and then looking for, I suppose, to give a plug, we'll be looking for a couple of senior hires early in the new year in the areas of people and culture, and also marketing communications as well. So there's always something going on.
And is that for Ireland, the world? Because you've outgrown Ireland.
So at the moment, a huge primary market is Ireland, but certainly the next phase of growth is looking internationally, and that's, I suppose, a lot of our investment over the last couple of years in particular have been about setting ourselves up for expanding into developing new services and into new markets as well. So we are coming more onto the cusp of that at the moment, with having invested an awful lot in our technology platforms, it was very key for us as well.
And what does Fenero do that others do not? There's a term or a word that you used, cognizant, which I grappled with.
Where did you see that word? Now I'm trying to think.
I think it's on your website. I think it describes the kinds of people that your product addresses, or the sectors it addresses.
So what we do is we are providing tax and payment management solutions, first of all, to contractors and freelancers. And really what we're all about is trying to help make people step more comfortably and confidently into contracting, into freelancing, and to just maximise their financial success while they're doing it. So we I suppose we're a firm of accountants and tax experts and financial advisors. So we have deep expertise, but we're very focused on particular groups of individuals, it's individual people who are looking to go into self-employment into various guises. We're best known at the moment for looking after professional service contractors, but we have a growing division, our personal tax division, which supports other forms of self-employment or business owners who might need some support with personal tax planning. So we're growing in a few directions.
And that all sounds, because that's how you operate, it all sounds very smooth and easy. However, I assume no matter what jurisdiction that you go to, there are very big differences in taxes. There are big differences in the ways taxes are applied and so every jurisdiction is almost a new company or a new product or...
It will be, and like I say, at the moment we're very focused on Ireland, but building out I suppose, big focus as a company. We do have that deep tax expertise, but we're very, very focused on how we make that simple and easy for our customers. So that's the that can be the harder part in some ways, but that's something we have focused massively on. So a big part of our offering is around that simplicity and that ease for our customers, and that we don't feel that changes massively from market to market. Individual people, they want life to be made easy for them. It makes taxes simple, accessible, not to be, lack of jargon. So that's something we can equally apply across the markets. And then with the investment that we've put into our technology, it's not to say that the compliance and the tax rules and the legal side is the easy part, but it's less challenging, I suppose, in some ways than it might have been in the past.
Now, as I mentioned a couple of times, you have grown from 0 or 1 to 80 plus. Where does the ambition end? Or I did ask you before coming on, do you pinch yourself every day to say, is this really happening? Because your growth story is phenomenal.
I do, yeah. And like I said to you, I do pinch myself really. And it's not, that's just, I think I'd imagine that, a lot of people do feel that way. And whilst I feel we have so much more to go, it's still a world away from where I started and what my ambition would have been in the early days.
So which was what? When you started off, I'm trying to encourage people here to say, oh yeah, I could maybe just start a business. Cool. And then you kind of say, well, I could expand into X or something.
Yes. I think I do very clearly remember when I first started thinking that if I had, we started as a traditional accountancy practice, and I remember thinking if I had 10 people working in my accountancy practice, that would be a really big business. And, it is. But then, you hit 10 and then you kind of keep going and then you approach 50. And I really had to shift my mindset for sure to get comfortable with kind of just psychologically the concept of these different milestones and like you say, pivoting into different...
What shifted you psychologically, or how did you achieve that shift? Because I understand absolutely, you're becoming responsible for a large number of people.
Absolutely, it's a huge. And that could feel overwhelming in different ways, and it's exciting in others. But there's an element of you build experience, I suppose. Nothing beats doing it, and that's. I think that's partly going back to the earlier on, as you were talking about learning, just constantly learning, and that's partly why I do those kind of accelerator programs, like you say, because all of that gives you the confidence, both in the knowledge and the practical hands-on knowledge that you'll gain, but actually being around other people who are saying the same things, kind of saying, oh my God, we're on this roller coaster, and you start to realize, okay, this is a normal feeling, everything I'm feeling, this is what this landscape is, and you just gradually build your comfort. So it's definitely your network and the friendships that I think of other entrepreneurs and business owners is really critical. Your tribe, really, you need to build that to
if
help.
You've gone from 1 to 80, where does the ambition end, or is there a limit? I mean, could you go to 800?
Who knows? And for me, the thing is as well, it was never about numbers. It really wasn't. I've been asked so many times, what is the ambition around, revenue or employee numbers? And that's just never been what, I think that's an output really for me. So for me, it's just continuing what's the next great thing to create, and whatever's needed for that is what kind of an output of it. But for me, very it's helping more people who I suppose started on a path like me, wanted to become self-employed, and helping support them with the financial side. First of all, stepping into it, having the confidence and the comfort to take those first steps. That we're there to help them with that, and then to help them maximise their financial success while they're doing it, because we all know we need the money to kind of come in to keep the ambition and the dreams alive as well. So that's very much what kind of floats my boat, to help other people in all different types of self-employment to encourage them and have the opportunity to succeed in it as best as they can.
Do you need to raise further finance? Probably not, do you?
At the moment, we haven't gone that route so far. We've been very organic growth and reinvesting all our profits continuously, especially in the last number of years in our technology, which is, that's a significant amount of money goes into that. And we've been successful doing that so far. But I suppose we'll look at that.
Very interesting. You're being coy. Is there a funding coming up? And I didn't know this. I only just was wondering aloud. Is there a funding coming up?
We're just at a transformation phase in the business, is how I look at it. And we've been putting in a lot of foundation blocks. And I think to give us choice now. And that's I suppose where I'm at that stage, looking at revisiting what is the ambition, what's the next stage, and what all we need to get there. And I suppose everything's open, everything's on the table for that.
I'll leave you alone on that one. So, because I have to go, I have two more further questions. One of them is, you could have been in radio. You actually...
I was wondering where you were going with that in the introduction.
Because I saw it on your CV that was one of the activities that you were involved in. You played badminton, I remember that part.
Yes.
But of course, I took an interest that you were in the college radio and college newspaper.
You're very funny digging up the old details that we forget about. I did, yeah. I loved media, and I did at one point consider journalism. But I think I've been interested in so many different things. When I was a child, I remember thinking it would be great to be like a BBC newsreader. So I always, there was something about that just appealed to me.
You sound like a BBC newsreader as well. You do. But you gave it up, as I told you. You gave up rock and roll.
I know. But maybe...
For accountancy software.
Give me an internship here at some point.
Final question, Sinead Doherty, is who would she, meaning you, hire in a heartbeat?
So I think last time I was here, I did say Sarah Blakely. So she's still on the table. I still haven't been able to get my people to reach her people, but we'll keep trying. But I was thinking again, and there's somebody, a lady called Annette Burns Young. She's an international leadership development consultant. And
so back to what you love.
Back to what I love, exactly. So and now Annette actually does do consulting with us. So, but the reason I would go to hire in a heartbeat is if she wants to kind of come and on board full time with us, that would be absolutely incredible. But she does a lot of coaching programs with us, and team coaching, and really helping bring, I suppose, that whole concept of leadership development throughout the whole company, but teaming as well. And that's a huge, team is the unit of success. So she's absolutely incredible at what she does in that. So I would certainly
and where is
love
Annette
to bring
based?
She's now based in Mallorca. She's...
I'm with her.
yes. So AnnetteBurns.com, just to give her a plug.
Please do. That is fantastic. So when you come back again onto that Great Business Show, how many more people do you think you'll have hired?
When are you having me back?
As soon as you want to come back on. Do you think, how quickly are you going to scale?
Again, it depends. Like I say, we're very much at a transition point at the moment and making those decisions and how we'll approach them. But certainly, you see the opportunity is very wide. Globally, the growth of the freelance economy. There's so many different labels for it, but we'll call it freelance. It's just it's growing hugely. There's such a need for supports and services to that group. I'm very, very motivated to play a part in helping that growth of that freelance economy. So we'll see.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
You're not getting anywhere.
The riddle talk. Sinead, as usual, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Lovely to be here. Thanks so much, Connell.
Thinking of travel? If so, make sure to make De Facto, the world's best shaving oil, your choice of travel companion. A 25 millilitre bottle of De Facto means no hassle at airports, no bulky cans to carry, and the guarantee of the world's best shave. DeFactoShave.com.
All That Great Business Show advertisers are Team GBS approved. Back them.
That Great Business Show.
We set up this podcast with rugby star Jamie Heaslip as co-host almost 2.5 years ago. Since then, we've had visits from sports stars, including Paul Galvin, Peter Stringer, Hannah McLaughlin, Katie Mullen, Andrew Trimble, and quite a few others. But as we are a business show, we do not ask them about sport. We stick to our knitting, and our knitting is business. So when I ask my next guest about a specific penalty kick, it's not about the match when Ireland beat the Australian rugby team at the very death. It's about psychology. What goes on in a person's mind when an entire nation holds its breath, when a lone kicker must feel a million eyes on him, and a win or draw. Michael Rogers and Ross Byrne are two of three co-founders of an online marketplace called Starfolio, connecting influencers, sports personalities and other talent with brands. That talented worldwide marketplace is massive. Somebody has done their homework and says it's worth over $16 billion. Irish company Starfolio is out to get its cut of that, and why not? And to achieve those ambitions, Starfolio is funding. Michael Rogers, Ross Byrne, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, we'll get to the business in a minute. But Ross, I'm sure you've been asked a million times. But I just want to know, when you're standing there, what goes... I know you've trained. You've been at this for 100 years or 20-something years. What goes on in your head?
Not a whole lot, unfortunately, so it's going to be a bit of a boring answer.
No. But can you, because it's applicable in business, when everything is going wrong or maybe going right, can you block out? Have you learnt, or have you got a secret thing that you can block out everything and then you're just looking that away?
Yeah, I suppose when you even said there's a million eyes on you, I'm not thinking that at the time.
Have you trained to that or for that?
Probably over time, it's come a little bit naturally. Then probably a bit of mental training as well. I think experience is something that you probably can't really. I don't know if you can put a value on experience. You know what I mean?
Your brain, is it stopped? Is it? What is it? What is it looking at? Just at the two posts and that's it?
Pretty, not even the two posts. Just the target behind them. So pick something out in the stand or whatever that is, and that's the only focus really, that and the ball.
And that is not unlike business, because that whole ideation thing, once upon a time I didn't believe in ideation, and then I learnt about it and it makes so much sense, because I presume, this is the segue, the Starfolio, I presume that you have, I said 16 billion. That's a massive market.
Massive market.
That's Michael Rogers' voice.
It's projected to be 21 billion by 2027. So
but
it's growing.
Unfortunately for you, you're not the only ones in it.
Yeah, there's plenty of businesses similar to ourselves. I suppose there's not many out there that are doing exactly what we're doing.
And what is the difference? I've gone onto your website, I've seen lots, and I mean lots of faces and lots of non-faces, because you haven't got the faces up there yet.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of talent there.
Yeah, we've had a huge amount of sign-ups. Like we're live now 2 weeks. The uptake has been absolutely incredible by Star signing up, the amount of brands getting in touch with us, the amount of agents. We have nearly 6 or 7 agents now signed up in Ireland and the UK. We plan to grow that number probably to around 30 to 40 now in Q1, which is great. And then we have our own internal targets for the amount of brand managers that we're going to be targeting now in the coming weeks. So unfortunately, we've got Christmas on the horizon. So everyone's going to be eating, sleeping and drinking for a few weeks. So that kind of puts a bit of a dampener on things for ourselves. But at least it kind of allows us kind of prepare for Q1.
But your USP, what is it? I mean, I hate saying this, but you're just another brand agency, or a marketplace for brands and agents.
Yeah, well, I suppose our price point is one of the strongest going for ourselves. I suppose our ability to react to new services, our unique sponsorship opportunities as well. So we allow stars come onto the platform and create their own sponsorships based off the assets that they would have in their life. So an example we could use would be Ross. Ross walks onto the pitch. Kit is owned obviously by country or club, but what assets Ross would have would be his boots, his kicking tee, his gum shield, and you can open them up to different sponsorships.
Or the Paddy Power underpants. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, Paddy Power is... yeah.
Are you allowed actually to wear... sorry to get personal.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in this. Are you allowed to wear anybody else's knickers or underwear or pants? Or do you have to wear a certain brand?
It depends on the sport.
No, you're one in
I don't know if it'll go down too well for us.
So one of the things that I saw that you are doing, because I saw it, is that you'll pay people to visit. So can I hire Ross? Can I hire you to pay me a visit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm available next week.
There's another word for that. Depending on what the kind of visits are.
Well, depending on what's your price point, Ross, for that service?
No, I think a big thing, I suppose, what we're really pushing as well is the flexibility for stars. So So if it's a surprise visit that I'd be willing to do, but then, you know what I mean, if it's coming up to Christmas time and I want to just switch off, just focus on Christmas or rugby and take a bit of a step back, I can just turn that service off. And then come January, if I want to really up it and do a load more services, if it's brand ambassador roles, Zoom sessions, more surprise visits or masterclass, then I can just decide to do them then. And, you know what I mean, there's no contract for stars to join Starfolio.
But isn't that a problem? Because we all know that stars, understandably, go for the biggest check. And like they'll go off and they'll work with another agency or brand or whatever if the check is bigger.
Well, that's a great challenge for us because we are going to pride ourselves on being the best platform out there. And I suppose a big difference that we have is the fact that I'm involved in this business. I know what it's like from the stars perspective when it comes to getting different deals or different people getting onto you. So in terms of that, it's great for us moving forward because we can evolve very quickly.
But did you or do you not, and I don't know the answer to this, do you not have an agent?
I do have an agent, yeah.
So is that agent not already has done the dirty work behind the scenes? So you haven't had direct...
No, so I'm with Navy Blue and they do a fantastic job. Absolutely love working with them. I suppose what we would be doing is helping Navy Blue. So Navy Blue bring me in deals, but what Starfolio will do will bring deals to me that maybe Navy Blue might not have got. Or if it's that, as you said, a surprise visit. No one's getting onto Navy Blue going, oh, is Ross Byrne available for a surprise visit or a kicking lesson or something like that? You know what I mean? So that's what Starfolio is providing. Or a video message. Because that's quite difficult for an agency to manage.
Video messages. Yeah. I'm telling you this. It is enormous in the States. Somebody sent me one from a guy from the Joey G from the Sopranos. And then I sat and I looked at it and I analysed it. And I reckoned he was sitting in his car in a McDonald's in a queue and he was reading these video messages. I reckoned while he was sitting there, he had knocked out somewhere near $2,000.
That's a lot of McDonald's.
While he was he's just sitting in a queue and he's saying, Connell or Marine or whatever. And it was brilliant. Yeah. And I still laugh at it and I still love it.
And, and I suppose Cameo take 25% of that.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I live with 1,500 quid for sitting in McDonald's queue.
Yeah, I'm more saying from a business model perspective.
And how much is Starfolio taking?
So ours is we have flexibility around the stars, but ours is ranging from around 12.5%.
Okay, and but presumably once you get successful, see the way that I've already made it positive is that you're gonna that just goes up because everybody will want to sign with you.
I don't think it needs to go up. I think obviously we'll have a bigger base of talent. But why do we need to suddenly increase our pricing? Like that's one of our strong USPs.
It's called business.
It is called business, but also we're forecasting that our numbers will be very strong based off what we're doing. We've also got a lot of plans in the product to add new dimensions to the business. So,
well, go on, tell me what some of those products may be.
We might keep that a secret for the moment.
But one of the things, then, Ross, it's fantastic that you are on it, but can you actually deliver, say, Kiwi players, or can you Michael, deliver German soccer players or whatever? What else? Who else? And how can you tap into it? And how can you go out to them and find them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, our focus at the moment is Ireland and the UK. So that's going to be for all of Q1 and Q2 of the year coming. That's our main focus. We've already built up quite a lot of talent base in the States, Singapore. Now, they haven't gone up on the platform just as yet. Our big issue with that is we don't want to go live. For example, in the States, somebody from Texas comes on and realises only one or two people there and there's not enough of a base for them. So we're picking the timing right for when we're going to be moving into new markets. But mainland Europe is somewhere we want to tap into very quickly. But the timing needs to be right and we need to have that pool ready.
Well, those people like myself who take a big interest in the business of sports will remember, was it Rory McIlroy and the big court case when somebody kind of, how will I put it nicely, because I'm not going to go to court over this, he walked off the pitch and he went elsewhere. What is there to stop anybody, even your best pals, to show up on a different platform at the same time?
Yeah, it happens. Like, especially if you look in the UK, there's a lot of people would be on different platforms. It happens again, as Ross touched on. We have to pride ourselves that we're going to be the best platform out there and bring the best case for each of the stars.
What can you do? I'll come back to this USP thing. How can you actually tie them in? Because you just told me they're not tied in.
They're not tied in from a contract perspective, and that's why it works very well working with agents. So agents have still full control over all their clients. brands, every brand I suppose we've spoken to so far loves the idea of it. They're seeing use, and thankfully there's transactions going through the platform already. From a USP point of view, we've got our price point. We're also going to be introducing our e-commerce product now shortly enough as well, which will give stars the ability to have their own e-commerce store to sell their own merchandising and products. We also have a few partnerships in place which will bring a lot of added value to the stars.
And did I read that you're hoping to have a system where people get paid immediately or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, I'll tell you, because people do not pay until the star appears and does his or her thing. So that's after the fact.
Yeah, no, look, that's a partnership that we have in place with Peblo at the moment, but that's I suppose a gap in the market that they saw a while back, that they realised that a lot of stars might have to wait different lengths for the payment terms that brands want to work off. Some pay within a week, majority of brands pay within 3 months. So Peblo stepped in there and they pay the stars 90% of the gig fee up front. And then
I see what they're doing there.
And then they chase. So
the Wayflyer of...
Wayflyer actually bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Ross, this is the pension plan, is it?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's just the...
But at this stage, but you have to, don't you? I mean, I've learned from Jamie is that...
Yeah, like obviously people say
planning
for life after rugby, but to be honest, like it's not after, this is during hopefully the peak of my career at the moment. Well, like, yeah, but it's also...
hot at the moment.
We've plenty of time, you know what I mean?
He's hot.
As rugby players, you know what I mean? And like there's plenty of things you can take from both and put into the other. So it's great to have a focus outside of rugby. It could be time consuming as well, but I've loved doing it and I've learned lots of lessons, and it's a good insight into how the real world works, you know what I mean? Because
you are cosseted.
We are. But we know that. Like, you know what I mean? And
no, but I don't think you know it really until you come out of it, because my good God, you are looked after.
Yeah, we are.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. But this is a great insight, I suppose, into how as I said, the actual business world works. And
I think Ross loves it at 10 o'clock at night when I'm getting on to him saying, have you filled out that Excel sheet yet? Have you worked on those leads yet? So
actually, I didn't ask you, what is your training? Because everybody has a training. What's your training?
My training?
No, I don't mean your training regime. Are you, like Jamie's in a mechanical, did you know this?
No,
he's a biomechanical engineer.
I know he is that, yeah. I'm certainly not
Okay, we'll skip over that.
Yeah.
The platform at the moment, I'm going to guess, are there 100 or are there more people?
500 plus.
Are there really?
Yeah, it's going up every single day now. Yeah.
I mean, I know that I just kept scrolling.
The last few weeks has been brilliant now. Obviously, the coverage we've had has been amazing. So we've had lots of sign-ups in the last couple of weeks.
So when the three of you were sitting down talking and chatting about it, you had, back to ideation, you had an idea as to where it might actually land initially. Was 500 a number that you thought of, or did you think bigger or smaller?
I suppose, look,
and you have to keep it real. This is the business show.
We were being greedy. Probably wanted as many as we could get.
Naturally.
I suppose when the idea all came about, it was during COVID, and I suppose as all good ideas, myself and Ross, I think we're having a drink at the time, and we came away. I'd mentioned it to Ross, saying, "Look, would you get much work off the field, commercial work?" And Ross said, "Look, I might get a few messages the odd time through Instagram and stuff." And so I said, "Look, imagine we built this platform." So we decided to map it up. When I say map it up, it was an A4 page with a few lines on it. We went to Mark. Thankfully, Mark had the team in Mosaic ready, and we kind of pitched the idea and said, "Mark, what do you think of this?" And Mark goes, "Yeah, let's go for it." So we started building it out. We got the dashboard signed or built up for stars to be able to onboard. Thankfully, then we raised a small bit of money through friends and family round, and I suppose now we're here.
3 Fs: friends, families, and fools. That's John Teeling always says that. So it's the fools that you really want. But you're funding again.
We are funding again, yeah. So the plan now will become Q1. We're going to be funding, which will help us grow into the UK market.
How much?
At the moment, we're probably looking at around 750,000 to $1 million is the plan.
And just what you do with that, go on a party? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So
straight to the States.
Yeah, straight to the States and Miami for a brief period and then probably down further.
But do you actually need £1 million just to get your platform up and
No, I mean, it's up and running, but obviously we have big plans and we want to get to the UK quickly, and then obviously after that we want to get to the States, and we have a lot of big plans when it comes to marketing, also hiring more staff, and obviously in terms of the tech, as you keep saying, there's plenty of other platforms out there, but we need to make sure that we're constantly evolving and ahead of the game. So that's why we're raising the money.
There's also, I suppose, a lot of feature sets that we want to add into the platform as well, which obviously will cost money, it will cost time to build. So the whole idea of raising that small round to begin with was to be able to get the platform live, put a little bit of a team in place and get a bit of traction. And then thankfully that's what we've done now, and that's the plan now, is to be able to take it to the next level.
A couple of final questions. One is, how much would a surprise visit from Ross Byrne cost me?
For you?
For you.
You'll have to book me to find out.
I tried.
Well, you did. I saw it. We need to set up a profile for you as a star, not a brand profile.
I tried to book, and I couldn't see any pricing.
So there's the search options there based off the criteria that you're looking for, and then the option for pricing is beside it. So you're able to, your budgets are all included.
But sorry,
so it's not on the front of the stars profile, and we do that to protect the stars.
But I thought I went into and I tried to organise a surprise visit, since I was having one anyway.
Not for Ross anyway, but because I saw your name come up, and I said, that's funny. We're in with yourself tonight, and I was going to slag you, saying you should be a star more than a brand. But
I always check out what I'm talking. At least I try to anyway.
Yeah, you should put a transaction through it. Yeah,
I will.
Yeah, do.
I will. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll get him. How can you cook? You could come
very
down.
Well.
You could come down and cook me a meal.
That's no problem.
Yeah,
cool. We actually funny. We have that now. We're doing a competition in the next 2 weeks where we've got a chef. We're going to be running a competition where.
Who's your chef?
Chef Julian Mack. He's going to go out and cook in someone's house.
I love the idea of that.
He's going to cook for them and 3 of their friends in a house. Yeah. So and then we have a meat sponsor as well who's partnered with us, who's actually using the platform now at the moment as well. So that'll all be announced in the next week and a half.
Did you say a meat sponsor?
Yeah, they've come in. They're going to display all the meat, and they're going to display everything for the guests.
Vegetarian.
Why don't you give them a shout out? This is that great business show where we're open to that kind of thing.
Kerrigan's Meat.
Cool. Well done, Kerrigan's Meat.
Barry Kerrigan, very kind of them.
Where are they based?
They are based out in the Long Mile Road.
Okay, well, let's hope that they have a massive Christmas. Now, I was going to ask you 2-3 questions. That was one question. The second question, before I go, because I have to ask you about who you're going to hire in a heartbeat, but I've forgotten the other one. But, sorry, I do know. Who can actually help you to fund, or who can fund you, or who can give you cash?
So it's a wide variety of people. So we've got angel investors approaching us at the moment. We've had 2 VCs we've had call with in the last week, which has gone very well. And then I suppose we'll be open to talking to a few more people.
But if somebody rings you up and says, here, I'd like to get involved.
We've had people like that. It's funny, the amount of people coming through the website, sending me messages through the chat box now. We obviously have to try and verify who the people are. So we always try.
There's a lad called Jamie. He's got a few side hustles.
Ross knows him quite well, I think. Yeah.
Final question, because I hope that you read the email. Who would both of you hire in a heartbeat? Ross, we'll start with you. Who would you hire in a heartbeat?
Hire in a heartbeat.
Did you not tell
I didn't send Ross the email, sorry.
I'm thrown under the bus here.
Do you know, I actually replied back and I CC'd Ross in the mail, and now I just realised. So that's Ross's fault for not reading emails.
This is something that everybody gets.
And there I was saying I was spare time.
In a heartbeat. There's somebody out there, man, woman or child, that you say, Jesus, now I would love to have them with me on my team. Doesn't mean a rugby team, whatever, your business team. Who would you like?
Right now?
Yeah.
I think you have to say Pat, for the job that's given for us.
Now, you see, I was going to say that, then I said, but you better
place.
Say who Pat is.
Pat Byrne, my father.
Now, explain who Pat Byrne is, besides your dad. He's a very well-known entrepreneur for decades in this country. He was, I'm not sure, is he still with CityJet?
He's still with CityJet, he is. Yeah. So he's obviously had, as I mentioned, experience earlier. He's got experience ups beyond belief.
And downs and arounds.
No, he's seen it all.
Everybody knows Pat Byrne.
Yeah.
So he's the dad. And that's why you can say that it didn't lick it off the street. So, yeah. No, that's a useful background, because at least you know what real business is like because you've seen it.
Well, he's been a big help to us, and he's obviously a big encourager, you know what I mean? And he's great to have because, as you mentioned, he's got so much experience, so he's a real benefit to have.
And then Michael.
Who did read the email. Yeah.
But he didn't share it. Who would you hire in a heartbeat?
Yeah, it's funny, I was thinking about I suppose the name that came
prepared. He thought about it.
I did. I came prepared. A good friend of mine called David Kelleher, I suppose, would be who I'd pick. Dave recently actually raised 1.5 million for his business called Outmin. Himself and Ross Hunt.
What?
Outmin.
What is that?
Outmin.
Okay. What does that do?
So Dave himself and Ross Hunt are doing a phenomenal job there, and Dave's the kind of guy that I suppose you want him in your business because he gets shit done, and he's one of that. He's he's a very, very good operator. Has good experience. I think he helped Jobbio grow to the size that they're at now as well. So
all right.
He's a good guy to have in the trenches. So Dave Kelleher would be the guy I'd pick.
Dave and Pat, you're both hired. Cool.
If we could afford them, we would hire them. Yeah. So that's the.
I want to see you back at the DAF for free.
Yeah.
That was Ross Byrne, that was Michael Rogers, both at Startfolio. And if you want to give them some money, you'll find them on the Startfolio website, I guess. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think if you go way, way down, beyond the 500, there's a little thing there saying give some money.
Yeah.
Because that is it from That Great Business Show. Episode 1162. Repost us on LinkedIn. And do it now, please. Also, send that link on WhatsApp to your pals in business. They will love you for it. And a quick shout out for the boys behind the Bonnish Store board game, Anna Byrne and James Fallon, that we had on episode 59. They've been in touch to say that they have sold more board games in the last 4 weeks than they did in all of last year. So buy now while stocks last is all you need to know. Bonnish Store is a unique board game to test your managerial skills to lead your Gaelic football team to Sam Maguire glory. The game is available from all good toy stores, as they say, Smiths, Easton's and all the rest of them, or you can buy it directly at bonishstoreboardgame.ie. Meanwhile, your business should advertise with us. Give me a shout on LinkedIn if you'd like to know more. We recorded the Dublin South podcast studios. Our king of cool sound is sound engineer Lee Brennan. And later on, Neil Horner adds some extra sparkle in post-production. We record our sister podcast, The Fifth Court, here, and soon, very soon, we'll be launching a third podcast with details to follow, as they say. And if you would like us to produce a podcast for you, have a chat with us. We bring podcasts to another level. And if you'd like to record a podcast here, do contact station manager Peter Rice at the Dublin South Podcast Studios. All of our great business insights and tips are brought to you, as always, thanks to our sponsor, De Facto Shaving Oil, the world's best all-natural shaving oil. They back us, do back them. DeFactoShave.com is where to look for them. And don't forget to buy Business Plus magazine, where we now have our regular column all about the podcast. So from me, Conal O'Moran, Mira Boyas for listening, Agus Slán Tomo.